never ever been able to have sex again, or you have to go your whole life being poor. Which one would you choose?
It's fine. I'm just not.
I'm not judging.
I'm just not gonna. All right, guys. Welcome back to the podcast, Real and Raw. You got me, your host, Kyle, and we got Fearless P over there.
Hello.
all right. All right. So today, we're gonna talk a little bit about business. Me and Paul have both had different experience within business. And I think it's going to be interesting to touch on both and see where we get to. And then I think it's going to be very interesting for anybody that's looking to start business or find out the sort of basic details about it. And then, I think it might be quite helpful for some people. So just move the finger out of the way. I can't see your face. Yeah, twist it. There we go. Beautiful. Now I can see her Fearless P's face.
He was gonna say, "No, I can see Fearless P's beautiful face," but that would be a little bit funny, innit?
All right. So, do you want to start off with the questions? Me?
Right. So, you've previously done a travel vlog business.
Yep.
Could you tell us a little bit about that?
So the business in general started off as one thing and ended up as another. I'll start from the early stages. So it started off as like what you would call a traditional travel vlog, which is basically like camera in hand. You go to a place and it's like, "Hey guys, I'm in Croatia," and then you go and like, "Look what I'm eating today. Look at this building," and all that kind of shit. It's as cringy as it sounds. But over time, I dedicated a lot of time to I put everything into it, to be honest. So it lasted for a year and a half. I went with an original budget, which is quite a lot. So I went traveling with that. It started off as a travel vlog, like I said, and then over a period of time, I would say when it got to like month 4, because I didn't really know what was going, like filming everything and anything that you do is exhausting because you're questioning what to say, and then if you don't have anything to say, you're like, "But I need to say something. Like, there's gonna be no video."
Yeah.
So that was just so exhausting. So it got to like month 5, and I was just burnt out already, and I was like, "Well, fucking hell! 5 months in, I'm burnt out. This is gonna be going on." Like at the time, I thought the business was gonna be my life business. So I went off to an island, spent a couple of weeks in Ireland, and just basically regrounded, re-established what the business was going to be and all that stuff. Watched a load of stuff on what kind of YouTube channels are successful and stuff like that. And I find out that one thing that's not successful anymore is vlogs, which is exactly what I was doing. Yeah. So that's what I learned at the time. I think vlogs are coming back a little bit now, but to run a whole channel just off vlogs doesn't have the same success rate as it used to. Like, have you ever heard of Casey Neistat?
No.
So he's the guy that pretty much sort of started the vlog sort of style. It was massive. Like, that was a main type of, and Logan Paul was a vlog. That was a main style of YouTube at one point, but it kind of just came away from that. People's attention span became shorter. So the content had to change to sort of match that.
What was your goal from the business? What was you hoping to achieve from it?
Fame.
Okay.
And the
we appreciate the honesty.
Fame. It was definitely, fame and the ability to be able to travel like without limits, and have it funded by YouTube. So basically, it's a self-sustaining business of just traveling.
Mate,
At the time, sounds like a dream.
That sounds like heaven.
But it's not. It's the opposite.
It's a nightmare.
Honestly, I learned afterwards that pretty much most people that do travel vlogging
Yeah.
just are burnt out all the time.
Mm.
You think about it, you've not got your same stability. You're going from one place to another, catching plane after plane, doing new vlog, like editing in like really small areas, then like always different places. It's hectic, is what it is. So after like 6 months, I changed my travel content to staying specifically in very unique places. So I stayed in like caves, tree houses, really funky Airbnbs, and then that became a lot more scripted and well thought out videos. But even after a year and a half of hard work, working pretty much every single day, the business just never popped off, and the budget went dry, and we had to do the unfortunate thing of coming back to reality.
Okay. Thanks for that. So, what did you learn when you done the travel vlog business? What's your biggest takeaways?
My biggest takeaway right now at this time is never give up, because the door closed on that. I learned that business wasn't for me, that specific business, so like travel style vlogging or whatever. I learned that's not for me, and there's a small space where I thought, do you know what? I'm just gonna go back to being regular life, get a normal job, do what is expected of everyone to do. Get a normal 9 to 5, maybe get a family, all that type of stuff. And then that didn't last long, and I realized, no, fuck that. Like, I want my business. I want something that's going to be successful. So never give up and move on to something else when something doesn't work. Don't just think like because one thing's failed, nothing else is going to work. Every failure is one step closer to success.
I like that. Where do you get that from?
Yeah, I think I've took it from other people, but I tweaked it a little bit to make it mine.
That's interesting. So, that being said, what would you have done differently?
I would have reframed the way that I looked at the entire situation, so that there was a lot less stress and dependency on the success of the business. So the business was either going to work or it wasn't, as long as my input was at a maximum input and I was trying new things and adapting. And unfortunately it didn't work, but at the same time, after what I'm able to realize now is that through stressing so much, it also took a lot of the enjoyment out of the experience, where I could have gone through the same experience, even if it didn't work out. I could have gone through the same experience with a slightly different mindset, saying, do you know what? I'm going to look at what I'm doing. I'm going to do this. I'm enjoying doing this, and have just like, you have that more gratitude mindset towards it, rather than being like, oh no, this has to be perfect. If this doesn't work, then the money's going to run out. And then what if this happens? Like, that's two different mindsets.
Yeah.
But the outcome's still the same as long as you put in the right input. And I would also argue that if you go in with a more positive input, you're going to get more success out of the business anyway, because everybody likes happy people.
Yeah.
Nobody likes a stressy person.
Did you love the business you were in? And do you think that's an important thing?
I loved the idea behind the business. Genuinely did. Not the vlog as it started, but when it went to the unique accommodations, it's kind of done on YouTube, but the way I was doing it was slightly different. And I honestly thought that it was just a blueprint that was made for success, because it was giving people educational content, showing people in the places in the world that nobody would ever even dream existed. Some of the places that I stayed was like absolutely insane. Sorry, what's the question again?
The question was, do you think it's important that you love the business you're in?
Right, yeah.
And did you love the business you were in?
So I love the idea behind the business and I believe in it strongly.
Okay.
But the traveling side of it and creating the content became more of a chore than it did a hobby. And I think for a business to be successful, it needs to have that hard grind, that hard work into it. But also at the same time, you need to be enjoying what you're doing.
Okay. So, would you say if they gave you a choice, money or passion, which one would you sort of go for?
Passion.
Passion.
Straight away, without a doubt, because there's people out there that have not very much money but a strong passion. Could be whatever. It could be anything. Some people are super passionate about gardening, and if you see them doing their gardening and in that happy place, they could be way happier than somebody who's a super millionaire who doesn't particularly like their job, even though they've got the money. So my belief is, regardless what people say, I think money can buy certain elements of happiness, but I don't think money itself can buy happiness. So like cars, supercars, mansions, once you're in them and had them for a while, become less shiny.
Yeah.
And you just become used to whatever it is you've got.
Yeah.
But one thing money can buy is like good healthcare, good therapists, good life coaches, and all this stuff.
Would you advise your younger self to do it again, or would you advise your younger self to go into business?
I would advise my younger self to go into business for sure.
Yeah.
I wish I would have done it younger. And I would also advise, if I was my younger self, I would advise myself to still go and do exactly what I did with the travel channel anyway, because I didn't lose anything. I only gained. So, and I think this is probably the same with most, like any failed business. You never really lose. You're losing a business, but you're just going to end up at the same place you did at the start of the business. Unless you're in a lot of debt, which is a different story.
But with a lot more knowledge.
But with a lot more knowledge that you're gaining. So like I've got like pretty advanced editing skills, and that's all come from that travel. I know how YouTube works and like the basics and all that sort of stuff, and that's come from traveling and doing that YouTube channel. Something I knew absolutely nothing about before I went.
And what do you think are the most important characteristics for someone that's going into business?
Characteristics. I think determination is a big one, because if all else fails and you've got determination, it can get you through a lot. So I think determination for sure. Openness to learn is, I think, one of the most important ones, because in my opinion, every area of any business is always changing constantly. But as you know, we develop new technologies, new ideas. People's minds are just changing over time with what people like. So it's good to be able to learn and take on new approaches and learn new things, and that's what's going to elevate you into the next areas within business, and also keep you either with competitors or above competitors in most areas. Because if you've got a competitor that is constantly learning new tactics and you're sticking to the same old thing, they're gonna know more than you. They're gonna have more to offer people than what you are.
And you think business people are born or made?
Made. I think some people are born businessmen, but I think businessmen can also be made.
Okay, so you think, what would you say?
I think some people are born with more natural characteristics and tendencies to become better businessmen. Like some people just have it, do you know what I mean? But I also think that is something that can be trained. I think like almost anything can be trained
Okay.
if you're putting enough, if you're open to a learning and you're putting enough hard work.
Okay. All right. Well, that's all my questions for now.
I guess I'll take the lead for a little bit. Right. Okay. So within business, what are the lessons that you learn early on?
So so I've been in business for probably about 20 years. So I started young. So at
How
14,
young?
so at 14,
14.
I had a photography business and a modeling agency.
Mhm.
I was the only model for the agency. It was called Urban Wear,
Mhm.
and I've still got like photos from back then. And then after that, I had a e-commerce website.
Mhm.
All the companies that I opened, they always made money. Not substantial money, but
Mhm.
I always done it to a level where it brought in income.
Yeah.
Um, so after the photography business, I done an e-commerce business where I was selling electronic goods. So
Mhm.
it was a drop shipping business, and I was selling things like cameras, stuff like that. And then after that, I done a suits business, so another e-commerce business, but I was selling suits. That's suits as in workwear. Then after that, I got into transport and logistics,
Mhm.
which is the business that I'm still currently in. So, what was the question?
What are the lessons that you learn early on in business? So those are the businesses that you've done, which
Yeah,
is, I mean, you've been in a fair few then.
yeah.
So, but from let's say from no, actually, yeah, we'll split it up into two. So from all of the businesses that you've done leading up to your current business, what are the lessons? What are a couple of lessons that you've learned throughout that period, throughout all the businesses that you've done?
So, the biggest thing in business is you have to be resilient.
Mhm.
Um, if you don't have that, then don't even bother getting into business.
Mhm.
So you've got to be resilient.
Yeah.
You've got to be um, constantly learning and constantly open to learning. You've got to be very good at sort of speaking to people
Yeah.
and getting people to sort of invest in you and your ideas. Um, it would be good if you're a leader, if you've got leadership qualities,
Mhm.
because in business you can never do it yourself. You'll always need
Yeah.
a team. So it'd be good if you're the kind of person that can motivate a team and you're the kind of person that people trust and look up to.
Would you say that you was, or would you consider yourself a natural leader, or would you say that you've learned leadership skills over the course of, growing up through these different businesses that you've done?
So I never really thought about it till probably about 4 or 5 years ago.
Mhm.
But um, in primary school, secondary school, and in college, well, let's say primary school, secondary school, I was always like the captain of the football team.
Yeah.
Um, like in my friend group, I was always like the leader. So these are roles that I just naturally fitted in. It's
Mhm.
not roles that like I tried to force myself into
Yeah.
or whatever else. People always pushed me forward to sort of lead them in a lot of areas in my life. So when I look at it from that aspect, I would say it's more of a natural thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, there's certain things as well. Like when I was in school, for example, I was always one of the popular kids, but I never wanted to be in a group. I wasn't like a group person,
Mhm.
and up until today, I'm still not like a group person.
Yeah.
If I go somewhere and I see 4 or 5 different cliques, I'm always that one guy that gets along with everyone,
Mhm.
but is in no particular clique.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I feel like I'm an independent thinker and I'm an
Mhm.
independent person in general, which I also think it's really an important thing for business.
Do you think that's had a lot of benefits being more independent as opposed to being parts of like cliques or groups?
Yeah, for sure. Because um, even with you now, for example, just this stuff that I see about you, your growth, your
Mm-hmm.
development that I see now, I see you more as an independent person now, like over the last few years, rather than before when you was hanging about with certain types of people
Mm-hmm.
and you was maybe being dragged in certain directions.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like even with you now, I could use you as an example because you're more of an independent person now.
Yeah.
You're more able to make decisions by yourself and you're more
Mm-hmm.
able to sort of go in your own direction
Yeah.
rather than going in a direction that's laid out in front of you.
Yeah.
So
I agree with that.
that's but I've always been like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've never went in a direction because everyone else is going in that direction.
You've never been influenced or made choices dictated on what other people have done around you.
In the in the majority, no.
Yeah, yeah.
Obviously there are certain
Everybody's had it at some point,
there
right?
are certain aspects where you follow the crowd or
Yeah,
whatever else, but in general, I'm not a follower.
yeah. Whereas I think in the past, as you said, I definitely was at one point somebody that just tended to follow groups or crowd because it was just e- it was just an easier way of living. Like you don't even have to do much thinking for yourself. You're just basically going with the flow, aren't you?
Yeah,
If people are going out, you're going out. If
yeah,
people are going doing this, you're going doing that. It's just
yeah,
you don't have to do too much
yeah,
independent thinking.
yeah. And if you see how the world is built
Mm-hmm.
and how people sort of maneuver themselves around the world in general, people tend to follow
Yeah,
whatever is on the news, whatever it's the thing that's in fashion. People just tend to follow that.
yeah.
There's that sort of herd mentality, you know,
Mm-hmm.
where everyone just follows like a sheep.
Yeah,
And if you are that kind of person, business leaders are not followers.
yeah.
You would hardly find a business leader that's a follower.
Mm-hmm.
Business leaders are normally leaders.
You have
You
to
know,
separate yourself.
you have to separate yourself. So again, that came more natural to me than just following people.
Yeah.
So in terms of your question, I definitely say the number one, without a shadow of a doubt, is resilience,
Mm-hmm.
because you will have good times, you will have bad times,
Yep.
but you've got to stay through the bad times to get to the good times.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're having the good times, nobody leaves at the good time. People leave at the bad time. So you've got to stay through the bad times to get to the good time. Resilience will get you further than anything else in business. So you've got to stay resilient. You've got to be a leader. It makes it easier. If you're not a leader, you're going to find it difficult in business because you need a team. You can't do it yourself. Your team is what is going to determine the success of your business. So you need a team. And you definitely also need to have a pleasing personality.
A pleasing personality.
Yes. So not that you please people,
Yeah.
no, but you need to have a good personality. People need you need to be likable. You need to be trustable. You
Yeah.
need to be
Yeah.
you need to be someone that people want to be around, someone
Yeah.
that people want to help.
Is that for the primary purpose behind that? Is that for customers or business partners or just everything in general as a whole?
Everything in general as a whole.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example as well. When we go on holidays or when we do certain stuff, we always get preferential treatment.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like for example, when we went skiing,
Yeah.
we spoke to a few people like we naturally do, and we were able to get to the top of the slopes where that would have
Mm-hmm.
taken. We were able to get to the top of the slopes within 15, 20 minutes, for
Yeah.
example, where you could have waited in the queue and it would have taken
For about 2 hours.
exactly. You know, not only that, you know, I could give you examples over and over again in Dubai. The way we got the price
Mm-hmm.
for the rental
Yeah.
of the Lambo
Mm-hmm.
and the Audi,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's just being able to
So it's good negotiation and communication skills as well, isn't it?
It is.
But I think that's always easier to do if you've got a likable personality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you can see why you can see why you've been able to sort of do pretty decent in sort of businesses that you've kind of done, because you've got a lot of these qualities down already.
Yeah.
You know, so the pleasing personality is very, very important.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've got those three things, that's a good start.
Yeah.
You don't need to be Superman to start business. You don't need to be extraordinary. Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, all of those people, they are normal people.
Mm-hmm.
And
they had to start from the same place that anybody's starting from right now.
Yeah. And I would go as far as to say, you know, I really like him, by the way, so I'm not even putting him down, and I don't know him at all. But I would even go as far as to say Jeff Bezos doesn't even strike me necessarily as like a loud leader, or possibly even just a leader in general. But he's clearly built himself well enough to be able to still get whatever he needed to get done.
He's built himself the right skill set to get to the place that he's at, hasn't he?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Awesome. Right. So I've got another few questions here. For anyone starting a business, so a new business, what are 3 tips that you'd give to them? Or I guess would those be the 3 tips?
No, so I could give you. So those are characteristics.
Characteristics, yeah. So let's go for 3 tips.
So three tips I would give. And very important for people that are starting business, because for some reason I'm so passionate about people being able to reach their full potential, and a lot of people always ask me, Paul, how do you live the way you live? How are you able to sort of live such a extravagant life in their eyes? Like, you must be a multi-millionaire, blah 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 blah. Obviously, I'm not going to disclose my financial position. However, what I would say is I am really passionate about people sort of living their fullest. And when I hear people say, "I've never left the country, I've only been on 2 holidays," it kind of breaks my heart, because I'm like, you're on this planet Earth where there's trillions and trillions and trillions flowing through the planet, through the economy, and
some people don't even leave their own town.
Some people don't even leave their hometown. I had a worker called Billy. I ain't gonna say his surname. But I had a worker called Billy who had never left Grays in Essex, and we had a job that was in a Canary Wharf, and he was like, "This is my first time leaving Grays." He was 32 at the time, so
we're very fortunate.
We are very fortunate. So
but this is also why we're not Jeff Bezos, we're not multi-billionaires, but
I don't even think we'd want to be Jeff Bezos either.
No, there's a lot of pressure, isn't it? It's not
a lot of stuff
for everyone.
A lot of stuff that goes with being Jeff Bezos.
Yeah. But one thing I would say is, without being boastful, is that we've both been fortunate enough to do a lot of stuff that a lot of people haven't done.
Yeah.
And like he was just saying, I've seen a lot of people that just don't really leave their hometown, don't even know like basic self-disciplines or habits that can literally make them feel better in every aspect of their life and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that's why we like to share these ideas to as many people as possible.
Yeah. So the tips. So number 1,
We're
Nike.
getting into it.
Number 1, Nike. Write that down, people.
Nike.
Number 1, Nike.
Get yourself a nice pair of trainers if you're going to be running a business. If you want to run a business, get yourself a nice pair of trainers.
I'm gonna leave it just for 5 seconds to see if anyone gets it. Number 1, Nike.
Hang on, let me. Is it like an acronym? Is it 4 letters broke down into something else?
No.
Right, go on. I have no idea.
So number 1, just do it. Just
Oh.
do it.
Okay.
Do not talk yourself out of it. Do not let anyone else talk you out of it. If you believe in it and you're passionate about it, Nike it.
I like that.
Nike it.
I like that.
So, number one, just do it.
Because especially in new business, I had this. You probably had the same thing as well.
Yeah.
When I was doing that YouTube channel, so many people were like, "Is that a good idea? Like, you're gonna use all your money doing that? Are you crazy?" Or like, "Are you sure you got what it takes?" Or all those things come from different people, and it's only when people make it that these people are like, "Oh, do you know what? That was actually one of the best ideas you've ever had."
Yep.
So just do it. I like
Just
that.
do
I
it.
love that.
And remember as well that if you was to logically think about doing business, it is extremely easy to talk yourself out of it. It's very easy. Number one, the odds are against you because most businesses fail. Number two, competition is always extremely high in 99% of businesses. Number three, most times, the amount of work, the amount of stuff you have to go through to even get the business to a position where it can sustain you, it's not something a lot of people are willing to do. So when you think about it logically, it's extremely easy to talk yourself out of it. So you have to Nike it, or you won't even get started.
And that's a good one to just, because when you are starting a business, it's not just as simple as like, I'm going to start this business and then tomorrow it's done and your business is just there. There can be like a 2-month just planning to actually do it, and then you've got to get the business started. So if these doubts start creeping in, which they will, because everybody has like, what do we have, like 64,000 thoughts a day?
Yeah.
And I think that's on the lighter side.
Yeah.
A lot of them thoughts could be pushing you away from doing that. So just always go back to that place. Just do it. Just do it. Keep saying it to yourself.
Just do it. The number 2 tip is if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. That's something that has been said thousands and millions of times in the past, but it is very true. Now, you don't need to overly plan, but you need to have a plan. So you need to know where you want to be at certain times, and you need to have things in place if things don't work out. And you can't, whatever you do, don't just be airy-fairy about what you're doing. You've always got to have a plan. And you've always got to, as much as you can, follow your plan, but know that if you need to change course, you can as well. So plan. I'd say the third tip is get yourself a mentor if you can. If you get yourself a mentor, you're definitely on the right track straight away, because when people have been doing something for a long time, or when they're in the same business you're doing, then they kind of know what they're doing more. Like, they'll guide you away from certain mistakes or whatever else. So get yourself a mentor if you can. If you can't, because it's not easy, then just learn as much as you can about your craft. You have to learn as much as you can about your craft, because what's going to separate you from the crowd is what you know. Now, if I talk to people about transport, logistics, it will take them 3 to 5 minutes, even less, to be honest. If I was to speak to a customer about a job going from London to Newcastle, a client, a business, a customer, it would take them about 3 minutes to know that this guy knows what he's talking about. And that's through years of experience and being able to put my points across in a way that is convincing to whoever I'm trying to win business off. So if you don't have the knowledge, you just won't come across as an expert. You just won't come across as someone that they need to trust. So you must know what you're talking about. You must learn as much of your business as you can, which is where what Carl said comes in, which is why it's important to be passionate about what you do. Because if you're passionate about what you do, you're going to learn as much as you can about that subject. You're going to learn as much as you can about that industry. It's not going to be a chore for you to learn about that industry because it's going to be something that you want to know anyway. So learn as much as you can. I'd say that's the 3 tips that I can give you for now. There's always a lot more, but that should sort of get you started.
Those are really, really good tips, to be honest. Right, so in your opinion, what does it take to get a new business past those early stages and into an established, secure, and successful business? So basically getting past that transition stage of being a new business that's still at risk of like, either, you know how you said is that a lot of businesses don't make it.
Yeah.
What gets you past that make it or break it stage?
So the first thing that's going to get you past it is your resilience.
Yeah.
You know, that's definitely going to be a big thing. And again, to repeat what I said before, is resilient and learning as much as you can about your business as possible, and always developing on what you find out. So you're never going to start off knowing everything, but you want to start off learning as much as you can. So to get from where you start to where the business is able to sustain yourself, it's going to all be down to your resilience and your knowledge.
But also, I just want to note in there, a lot of people can get stuck in that stage of what's it called? It's like information overload. It's like where you spend so much time trying to learn about something that you never actually take the practical steps and just do it.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to make sure you learn at the same time of actually practically putting in as much physical effort as you can.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah. So it goes hand in hand. So you've got to Nike it while you're learning.
Nike, I love that.
You've got to Nike it while you're learning.
Right. Okay. So, all right. This is a good one. Do you think a business requires a huge amount of sacrifice when starting, or do you think there can be a balance of non-business aspects like family time, habits, holidays, and that kind of stuff?
So, depending how advanced you are in business in general, because again, with business, as with all things, has certain principles that you have to follow. Now, if you know the principles, you know, like I've been able to learn over the years, then you can balance things a lot easier. If you don't know the principles, you need to learn the principles. So I would say that realistically and honestly, at the early stages, you've got to throw yourself completely and utterly into the business because you need to make as many mistakes as early as possible as you can.
Yeah.
And you need to make sure that you're not distracted while you're learning these things. So if you don't know the principles of business and you sort of want to balance it out, it might take you 4 years to learn those principles. But if you throw yourself into it wholeheartedly, then it might take you a year. So it's just how long you want before you learn what you need to learn.
Are the principles of business different with each type of business, or are the principles
No, the principles
relatable to every just business in general?
Yeah, so the principles are universal.
Universal. What are the principles?
So principles of business.
How many principles is there?
So you see, I'm not writing a book, so I can't tell you how many principles. To be fair.
Oh, what are the
I can tell you
the main principles that stand out?
I can tell you the stuff that
if
I was to meet another business person, you see, different levels, different devils as well.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not a big business person. I'm like a small to medium sized business person. So for my level, let's say, the principles for any business, number one, again, resilience. in my industry, I could lose every single thing I have, and I would, within a year or 2 years, be right back to what I had or even more, because I know the principles. So,
But you need the resilience to get back there.
but you need a resilience to get back there, you know. But for example, if someone that's already got a bit of money, so if someone that's got 500k saved up, or 500k from another business, wants to start a new business, they can balance it, because what they're gonna do, principles of business, they know they need a team, they know they need smart people. So what they're gonna do is use 100k just to build themselves a good team. So a good team may be operational manager, customer service manager, and then you might have customer service staff. You might have drivers. You might have whatever else. But because you have that money, you can build that team pretty quickly. That's one side of it. Because you have that money, you can get yourself into a higher position than starting from the bottom. So, for example, if you need to advertise, or you need to market your business, you know, for example, you need to market your, let's say, when Carl done his business, for example, his video vlog business. Let's say he had 400k saved already. What he would do is, maybe straight away he would have a editor that follows him everywhere.
Cameraman, really good editor, straight away. That would have took. Then I would have been able to enjoy traveling.
Nearly with the stress, isn't it?
That's
nearly
like
with the stress.
80% of the stress.
Yeah.
All I have to do then is just figure out where I'm going, what I'm doing.
And you can get someone to do that too.
Yeah,
Literally plan your.
Yeah.
You could get someone to plan your whole year. So
and now I know what was missing. It was just the 400k.
Exactly. So, you know, so the principles is basically, I mean, you have the knowledge, but again, you need resources to be able to put those principles into place.
But so it's like, if someone was to get 400k and not know the principles,
they would waste it.
They're going to waste it. They're not going to know how to spend it in the right way, or how to do the right things.
Exactly.
If you've had the experience, for example, somebody that's pretty well established in business, you lost everything, you've got 400k, you're going to know you're probably going to build it even better than it was before.
Exactly.
Because you're going to know the principles,
and
you're going to have the money to get to a place that you want to get to.
Exactly.
Which is exactly why you get all these super rich people. Like, I think Grant Cardone did it, where he said, do you know what? I want to prove that with the right principles and the right mindset, you can start a business from nothing.
Yeah.
So he started a business from scratch, faceless, nameless. So he couldn't leverage his own
fame.
His own fame.
Yeah.
And he built it up to like a multi-million-dollar business.
Yeah.
In no time. So
yeah. So it's those principles.
Yeah.
And those principles are team. Is, I would say, number one.
So that's like outsourcing, delegating work, that type of stuff. Yeah.
You need a team. Number two, you need infrastructure, a system.
Explain that to me.
So infrastructure system is, for example, I'd use my company, for example. You have a software. This software is where all your staff could go onto, and it teaches them, it kind of points them in the right direction, how to quote a customer, how to speak to a customer, like a script, for example, how to send an invoice. It's all automated. So that's what your system will provide. It won't be like you hire someone new and then you have to be like, write this down on Microsoft Word, or you have to sit down with them and tell them, do this. No, the system's in place. So it's like McDonald's. Anyone could just get into McDonald's and within a couple of days know how their system works, know the culture of the company.
I understand now. So it's like having the right training and everything already pre-planned and in place.
Exactly.
So someone comes in and they can just integrate seamlessly into the
Exactly.
business.
Exactly. So once you have that system in place, it really doesn't even matter as much for the lower level jobs
Mm-hmm.
who the people are. They just slot into it, and as long as they've got like basic English,
Yeah.
basic like
Even for some companies, their infrastructure for training would be having a specific dedicated training specialist within that company,
yeah,
so that when a new group comes in, they can sit down 5 people and have this particular member of their team to just train all these 5 people at
yeah,
once, and then that would obviously work in the same way as like this system, isn't it?
exactly.
Yeah.
And that is why pretty much I'm able to go on all these holidays and do everything I do, and it has pretty much zero impact on my business because over the years I've been able to put a system in place that doesn't require me to be there or me to be participating. So system is number 2. And number 3, I would say, is you need to have an overall way of assessing how your business is doing. So if you've got your systems in place, you've got your team in place, you've got your system in place, your team follows your system, they know the culture of the company, they know what each one of them is expected to do, and they've all got targets or whatever else. Now you've got the third part is you've got to find a way to make sure that everything is working together and you're not sort of losing money, or you're not losing customers, or you're not giving customers a bad service. So again, that's another kind of system, but that system kind of needs to be a little bit more. You need to be a little bit more involved in that because you need to have a way to have that information and to be able to assess that information to know that what needs to be done.
So it's kind of like reflection on your business of what's working, what's not working, like the statistics, so to speak, of what's going on.
Exactly.
Because if you don't see what's going on with the business, then you don't know what to change.
Yeah.
Within specific areas.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the last thing you want, because you see, when businesses that have previously been successful die, it's always a slow death. They never get shot in the head with a shotgun. It's always an infection, a virus somewhere, that spreads.
Something within the company starts spreading and then just causes the rest of the company to fall.
It spreads. Now all of a sudden, it's incurable. Now all of a sudden, it's terminal. Sorry to go dark, but I'm just basically trying to explain to you how it works. So all of a sudden, it's terminal. All of a sudden, it's incurable. All of a sudden, to get rid of that cancerous cell, to put it, it's now so hard that getting rid of it could kill the business. So what you want to do is be able to find these things very, very quickly at the early stages.
Yeah, that's a good. The cancer analogy is quite good, to be honest, because I think it shows in the same way, the earlier you catch these bad things within the company, the easier it is to fix, right?
Yeah. And bad things easily creep up. It is so easy for bad things to creep up. So you've got to have, again, a system in place or people in place whose job is specifically to make sure that as soon as something that's not supposed to be happening starts happening, they nip it in the bud straight away. If you have those 3 things, again, there will be more. I'm not writing a book, so I haven't sat down and thought about it extensively. However, I think if you have those 3 things in place, then those are good principles at the very minimum.
I think those are really, really good principles, to be honest. So we've had some good information. Have you got any more questions?
Yes.
Okay.
So the question I've got for you is, would you rather be rich or famous?
I'd rather be rich.
Okay.
The thing is, either way, fame can get you rich, and being rich, if you do it in the right way, can also get you fame. So there's always that option, whichever way you pick.
But
That's
what
the
is your
loophole.
what is your pick, and why do you pick it?
But if I could only pick one and not the other, it would be rich, because if I was famous, and is it famous and rich, or is it just famous?
Just famous.
Right. So if I was famous, if I had to worry about being able to travel to places and affording it, and then I'm getting to there, and then now I'm having everybody just, like all over me and stuff like that. That compared to having the money to be able to go to wherever I want and just enjoy it, just seems like a no-brainer to me.
Okay.
Do you get what I mean?
Yeah. I've got some quick fire. You've literally got a second to choose one or the other.
Okay. Let's go.
Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Spain or Dubai?
Dubai.
Lamborghini or Ferrari?
Lamborghini.
Audi or Lamborghini?
Audi. Depending on the Audi.
I was gonna say that. Manchester or London?
London.
Really? I'm shocked about that.
In terms of what?
just a choice, isn't it?
For stuff to do and a night out and stuff like that, London. For living, Manchester, because it's just way cheaper
Okay.
and less congested as well.
Okay. Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos?
Elon Musk.
Joe Rogan or Chris Williamson?
I knew the second one was gonna be Chris Williamson.
I would ask why for that one.
I like the way he interviews people on his podcasts. He's very. I'm not saying Joe Rogan doesn't this as well, but for well, he's well established, but he's very attentive to the way he listens to people, and he always asks the right follow-up questions, and he lets people speak for as long as they need to speak. So I like the way he's a podcaster.
I feel like you two are quite similar as well.
You think?
Yeah.
That's a very nice compliment.
You two are definitely quite similar.
But I do enjoy both podcasts as well. Like, they're both quite different as well. Like, Joe Rogan's podcast is so laid back, and he has ridiculous guests like Trump and Elon Musk. Like.
Climbing
Yeah.
or skiing?
Oh, I'm gonna need longer than a second. Climbing. It's my bread and butter. I would. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, climbing.
Climbing or shooting?
Why are these questions so hard? So in terms of shooting, would I be able to shoot as regular as I could climb?
Yeah.
Shooting.
Really?
I enjoy shooting.
Wow.
Oh no, actually no, climbing because
Change his mind.
climbing because I'm gonna get more value from climbing, because when you get to those routes that really test you and you think you can't do it, and then you just manage to get it, and you're like, I literally said, you just managed to get it, and you're like, oh my god, I can't believe I did that. You're just breaking mental barriers. Whereas shooting, you can get better at aiming, but there's not really that many mental barriers to break. You're just playing with a toy, isn't it? Basically.
Yeah. These are your personal opinions. So, look-wise, Beyonce or Rihanna?
Beyonce.
Look-wise, Taylor Swift or... Do you remember Jodie Marsh?
Slightly. Taylor Swift. I don't remember that well, but
From what you remember.
from what I remember. But I think Taylor Swift's quite hot anyway, so.
Alright, I got two more.
Okay. I didn't get any. I didn't even know I was doing this. I didn't get any ready for you. Next week.
So, two more. Holiday or time with the family?
You motherfucker. Can I take my family on holiday?
No.
Right, I'm gonna. Holidays. It's fine. I'm just not.
I'm not judging. I'm not judging.
I'm just not gonna. I'm just not gonna show the podcast to my family.
Oh god.
That's a hard one. Like never go on a holiday again,
Never go on holiday again.
or never see my family again. See,
Nah,
that's
that's too
difficult.
much. That's too much.
That's too much.
No.
If that was the case, then I would pick the family. But
No, what I mean is spending time with your family,
mm-hmm.
one day with your family, or let's say a week with your family,
Mm-hmm.
or a week on holiday. Which one would you choose if you just had to choose that at this point?
Yeah, holiday.
Because you spend time with your family all the time anyway, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's the reasoning behind that. Let's
Yeah,
just go with
that's
that.
that's what you meant. That's what you meant. Right, and last but not least, if you had to either go your whole life,
Where did you come up with these? Right, okay, go on.
and you know what, I came up with these on the fly. If you had to either go your whole life, never ever been able to have sex again, or you have to go your whole life being poor, which one would you choose?
But if I was if I wasn't if I had money, I'd be able to like. There's always a way to get.
So
That would
you,
never
you
be
could
an
either be
issue.
poor forever or no sex forever.
I would take the money.
Really?
Yeah, I'd rather be because. Yeah, I'd take them. I'd take not being. How poor are we talking?
Poor, like on the road.
Yeah, like, I'm not even gonna be thinking about girls if I'm on the road. That's the last thing I'm gonna be thinking of. That, definitely option A. I would take the not being poor.
Okay.
What would you do on that one?
Your one.
Yeah,
Not being poor.
yeah.
That is it.
Well, that was a fun way to end the podcast. Thanks for joining us. We're gonna have some more. I think we should put another little game into the end of the podcast next week as well.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll just reverse it. I'll ask you some questions.
Yeah.
Or
We'll just both do it.
yeah, and
Yeah.
we'll start adding more fun stuff like this.
Yeah.
It's a podcast anyway, I think.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next one.